Hi, I'm Bill from CJ Pony Parts. Well, the S197 chassis being over 10 model years old now, a lot of these cars have racked up a decent amount of mileage and are due for some maintenance. So around here means it's time for an upgrade. This 2006 Mustang GT behind me, a couple years ago had a set of Eibach Pro Kit springs installed, but he's still in the stock shocks and struts. The stock parts have over 100,000 miles on them and are definitely due for an upgrade. With the car having Eibach springs installed, going with Eibach's Pro-Damper kit is going to be a no-brainer, as these are designed specifically for the Eibach springs. Today we're going to install these on this 2006 Mustang GT. This Eibach Pro-Damper kit is going to include new shocks as well as new struts, and will figure 2005 through 2010 V6 or GT. These are designed specifically to work with either the Eibach Pro Kit or Sportline springs and provide excellent performance as well as good ride quality. When replacing the struts in your 2005 through 2010 Mustang GT, we also suggest upgrading your strut mounts, as the factory ones are definitely prone to damage. These are the Ford Racing GT 500 strut mounts, which make an excellent upgrade for your 2005 through 2010. For this installation, you'll need a lift and a pull jack or a jack and jack stands, half-inch impact gun, half-inch ratchet, 3/8 ratchet, 22mm socket, 21mm socket, 18mm socket, 15mm socket, 13mm socket, 10mm socket, 5/16 socket, 18mm wrench, channel locks, and a spring compressor. The first step of the installation is going to remove the original strut from the car. We're going to start up here on the strut tower by removing 3 of the 4 bolts and loosening the 4th. We're going to start by removing the sway bar end link. Once the sway bar is off, we'll remove the brake hose bracket. Once the brake line's loose, we're going to remove the clip for the ABS line underneath it. Now these out of the way, we can move these nuts here. They're going to hold our strut to our spindle. Now the strut disconnected, we're going to actually hook up our spindle to the frame just to keep it supported so all the weight's not on our brake hose and our ball joint. I'll move back up top, remove the last nut so we can remove our strut. Now we're going to compress the spring so we can remove our strut mount. You can even see as we took it apart, a few of the bearings fell out of our strut mounts, proving they are shot and ready to be replaced. Now the spring compressed the mount off, we're going to remove our factory strut. Now we'll take our bump stop off. We're going to move this over to our new strut, and we can reassemble. Now we're going to install our new GT 500 Ford Racing strut mounts. Make sure the spring is seated properly and install the nut. Now we're going to decompress the spring. Make sure as you're doing this, the spring is seated in the right location on the top and bottom. And our assembly is ready to go back on the car. Now we're going to reinstall the assembly. You want to make sure the arrow on top of the strut mount is facing outward towards the fender. Put the 2 outside nuts on just to hold it in place for now. Move back to the wheel well. Now we're going to line the spindle back up with the new strut. I'll reinstall the brake hose onto our new strut. I'm going to clip the ABS line back on. And the last step is to reinstall the sway bar. We're finished down here, move back up to the engine bay. Now we can tighten down the nuts that hold the strut tower. Okay, you want to repeat the process on the other side and move on to the rear. Now we're going to work on the rear shocks. First we're going to do is support the rear, remove the lower shock bolt, then we'll lower this down and remove the upper shock bolt from the trunk. Now we're going to pull the carpet back and remove this panel to access the top of the shock. The Eibach shocks include 2 washers and 2 rubber bushings. What you want to do is put a washer on the bottom, and the bushing with this sleeve goes on first. That goes up through the trunk floor. The other 2 will go on top and the supplied nut. And we'll go back up in the trunk. Once you get a couple threads on it, now you can go back and tighten it up. You want to get it tight enough that the washer just starts to squash the actual bushing. You don't want to make it too tight that it flattens it out. You don't want to have it too loose that there's movement. I'll push the rear back up into place. We can pull our shock down and bolt it back in. I want to repeat the process on the other side and your installation is finished. Since the owner of this car uses it for a lot of long-distance road rallies, the Eibach Pro-Damper Shock and Strut Kit is the perfect choice to go along with the previously installed Eibach Pro Kit springs. The car's going to ride really nice on the highway and also have really good performance in the corners. With a system like this, you do want to get the car aligned when your installation is finished. The install is pretty straightforward overall. Take you around 2 to 3 hours. You'll be back on the road in no time.